Well, I want to thank y'all for inviting me here today. You know, God's been sending me out to tell this story for 3,000 years now. But still, I always bring my notes with me because I want to make sure that I don't forget anything and get it right. Oh, what's that you say? You've never seen an angel before? Well, I suppose most people would say that. Maybe they're right and maybe they're wrong. You see, most people, when I tell them I'm an angel, they look at me and they say, angels don't look like you. So who knows what you've seen and what you haven't seen if you don't know what you're looking for? A lot of people think that angels should be all dressed in white. Well, I prefer black. People think that angels should have a glowing aura around them. I don't. And then there's the thing with the wings. You see, that's the kind of angels people look for. But the eye, it wasn't made to see everything. Angels are more like spirits that you can't see at all until, well, how it works, if I can explain this, is we angels are really nothing till God has a thought. Angels are really nothing more than God's thoughts come alive. You know that angels don't go out looking for something to do. They don't act on their own. God's thoughts call us out and bring us alive. And let me tell you, God doesn't give you much warning. I mean, it can be really disconcerting. 1 second, you were nothing, not a thought in your head, not a thought in the world. And the next second, you see yourself tossed into action. In my case, God suddenly threw me into this wrestling match with this fella named Jacob. I was totally surprised by the whole thing, stunned really, and in that confused first moment, Jacob almost pinned me. But God's thought was powerful, and I made a comeback. Several times I had Jacob on his back, almost taken out, but he would fight his way back to his feet. I mean, this Jacob, he was a stubborn man and wiry strong. It went on like that throughout the night, with Jacob hardening his heart and stiffening his back against God's thought. Well, here's a fact for you to stick in your back pocket and keep it there. God always wins. If pride is holding you back, you better just go ahead and swallow it right now, because God always wins. I tried to tell Jacob that, but he was a proud man. Finally, with the sun coming up, God's thought told me to reach down and touch Jacob on his right hip. Well, I barely touched him, and that bone flew right out of the socket. Well, that ended it, because so much for Jacob's pride. Now, he had no choice but to line his thoughts up with God's. It's funny how God likes to use people who resist, even cast favor on them. I guess he likes them feisty. But once he drops his thought on you, you're done. Like that boxer of yours, Joe Louis, likes to say, you can run, but you can't hide. In Jacob's case, it seems God needed a person who was strong-willed, who was a fighter, because he changed Jacob's name to Israel, which means one who strives with God. If you don't know the story, look it up in the book of Genesis. Jacob, or Israel, he went on to do some really, really big things. Every time I tell people about that night with Jacob at the Jabbok River crossing, I'm surprised that they don't ask more about Jacob. All they want to talk about is angels. Well, here's the short version of the story. You don't need to die to become an angel, but it does confer on you a kind of immortality. And no, you don't need to do some finite number of good deeds to earn your wings. That's movie stuff. We mostly just wait for God to move us. It sounds boring, I know, but I promise you this. When God's thought does fall on you, it's a feeling. you'll never forget. Well, I want to thank you for having me here today, and keep your eyes open for an angel in your life.